Deathscythe Hell. Hey again everybody, Robert184, gundam.tk, the master grade Deathscythe Hell. You've seen the D-box, the parts, and it all put together. Now it's time for the final verdict, so you can decide whether this is the right purchase for you. So first, some of the negatives, and you'll notice the less than ideal leg positioning as it spins around. Looks good from the front though. Anyway, let's go into, from the bottom to top, how about, the toes come across as being really flimsy when you're putting this whole thing together. When you're putting them on, I had a little bit of trouble, and then they don't feel like they're going to stay in place. But on the other hand, the toes and the feet in general do move well, so that's something forgivable. The gray legs at the very beginning, I really thought, wow, these are incredibly boring because these were one of the first things I built. But once you start adding in the colors in the feet, and especially in the chest and upper body, that's all forgiven. Now, in terms of falling off parts, yes, I had the skirts fall off about 3 times just in the process of making this video. That's going to show up, and something that you may have seen when I went through the parts individually is that the cut marks show. Now, this is something that I usually deal with on a Gundam because I have the Gundam markers and you can just do that. But right on the forearms, they've got the gouge marks where you cut it off the gate right there on the front, so anybody can see that unless you're going to go over that, sand it, file it, fill it, and then paint it properly. So it is fixable, but again, something Bandai's been doing a better job of hiding the cut marks, and I felt a little bit let down with a few of them here. Next, you have the issue of the manipulators. Now, some people like the trigger finger, 3-finger split. Other people like this swap on and off. You're going to have to keep a Ziploc on hand to keep these extra parts around. But now, the only issue for me, though, is that if you had the bendable, regular master grade hands, it seems to me like you'd get a little bit more flexibility keeping the beams, scissors in place in the proper position. Now, I do like the fact that they gave you a large peg in the one set and that they have the whole open slit down there so that you're able to get it in. But as you've seen in the review, you can only have it facing in the one direction, so you're not going to get the same posing possibilities that you would if you had a regular set and maybe a little bit of sticky tack, and just having the fingers being able to grasp around that, you'd probably have it able to position itself in different ways. Now, with the stand on, you can see here that there's a few issues, namely, depending on how you position this, and I don't necessarily have that done the best way, but the back is going to jut way out, and that's made up for by the fact that you're able to swing out these wings, or you're able to bring them out and bend them back. So you're not going to end up with an ugly pose, but you do start to have a little bit of weight issues, and from the back it looks a little bit, well, it looks like a little bit of kibble if you were using Transformer terminology. And weight issues up at the top, as I mentioned, these will fall down every once in a while if you're not too careful. Again, a good pose right in the middle does a good job. However, on the ground, not a lot of weight issues because the weight is dispersed laterally as opposed to just hauling it backwards. The other thing that I liked and sort of disliked was the Adidas stripes on the cheeks. I'm glad that they give you the multiple colors, but it would have been nicer if they had some sort of a slit system. And I'm trying to think of like XS Gundam. It seemed like it had a better job of getting those 3 unique colors on the side, but a little bit of ink and patience on your part can fix that up. Another issue here as the head comes around is just that the lining could have been better. I was a little bit disappointed with the lines and the grooves that they give you on the face mask because the ink went all over the place. You're going to have to clean that up, but again, something that you can fix with a little bit of patience and a toothpick. However, the big thing that you're going to notice about this is as it comes around and glimmers in the light is just how plasticky this cloak looks. Now again, any painter out there is just going to say, Robert, paint it, and that's something that's very doable with the black. A little bit of top coat to just get some low gloss top coat should get rid of that, I'm hoping as well. But it's something that if you've got it in active cloak mode, especially when he's in his tuxedo mode, it doesn't look all that great because of the shininess. But again, if you're not sitting with this in front of the sun, it's not going to be a big issue. And with big plasticky parts, I don't really know what else to expect other than a big plasticky look. And my final complaint is, if you've built the Deathscythe EW, well, you've already built this kit. The only thing that you're getting is a different set of wings, some variations in the shoulders, but otherwise it's just a color swap pretty much all over the place, which was disappointing when I took a look at the plates and I saw how many of them were unique to the Hell, and there was only like 3 of them, and small ones at that, well, outside of the big plasticky wings. But there's a lot of positives to balance those out, so let's hear about some of those too. So the first thing for me is that this was a great build. I really enjoyed putting it together. It's my first time working with this wing frame. Quite happy with it, and it comes across as just being solid. You may have seen before when I just sort of shook the Gundam. You don't hear any sounds, nothing moved, and that's a good sign. Outside of the skirts popping off, I am quite impressed with this, despite the fact that it's got this giant set of wings on there, which you'd think would take away from its solidness, but because of the locking ability when you close the active cloak, and just how well these joints fit down when you squeeze everything in together, very solid, excellent build, so right off the bat, it's a winner for me. Now in terms of the looks, that is the other thing that I think is worth a lot of attention. The colors, I've already talked about how the gray seemed a little bit too much. However, at the end of the day, when you put this thing together, the colors work incredibly well. And you also get the whole feel. I mean, if you're talking about a Grim Reaper, this nails the design, and it just screams Katoki from head to toe. The design, the sleekness, you saw it next to the God Gundam in the comparison, that comes across as just looking chunky in comparison. This one is sleek with the small, sleekly designed head. I've said that word sleek 6 times now. You get the idea. This, for me, the looks by itself make this kit, if you were going to sit it like a brick like Unicorn, you'd still be happy with the result because it looks fantastic. Now, the other real winner for me here is the whole active cloak by itself. Actually, I loved the Gundam before I put it on, just because it's got the way it's filled out here with the width. But when you add on the wings, it just gets that much more. But it's the posability with the cloak. And now, I haven't built the old 1990s kit, and I know that it does have the bending ability, but I don't think it's going to have this kind of a slide mechanism up here, with the black part there. I think it was gray showing through. Then you've got the extra bend down there, and the fact that these slide out and angle up, and the fact that everything can bend back as my hand is getting in the way. But you get the idea that this cloak can pretty much do anything that you want it to, and it's going to look good open or closed. And open, especially when you put it aerial, you can really get some pretty cool effects, as I'm trying to show you next to the wing here. So between the looks, the colors, and the build, and the solidness, this thing has a lot of positives, and for me, those are the most important. They outweigh the negatives quite a bit. At the end of the day, though, my criteria is always, does this match how I felt about the suit in the anime? And I always say that with the cheesy way. Does it capture the feel of the anime, the power of it? And yes, it does. I mean, what can you say? This is a master grade D-Hell from Endless Waltz. And anybody who didn't want one of these for the last decade probably really isn't a wing fan. And if you are, this is a kit that you're going to want to buy. The looks are perfect, the build is great, the cloak works incredibly. If you take away those minor nitpicky issues that I listed off for 3-4 minutes there, this thing is an absolute treat to build and worth every penny if you're a fan of the suit or the anime. Now, when you combine that with EW Custom back there, or Wing Zero Endless Waltz version, this thing is an excellent combination, and all I can ask is that we're going to get the other 3 and then complete this set, because this one is worth every penny that I spent on it, and I hope that you find. So that's it, Robert184 gundam.tk. Why don't you let me know what you think of this verdict and the suit itself? Have you built the EW one? Were you happy with it? Were there things that you liked about that one and don't like about this, or vice versa? Please let me know with a comment down below, and as always, hit like if you do, and subscribe so you don't miss any other videos, and stay tuned for lots more reviews, as always. Anyway, thanks for sticking with me, everybody. See you soon with lots more reviews. Gundam.tk. For some strange biblical reason, these two seem to look more like enemies than fellow boy band members.